Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Roddy Ricch Show. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the A1 and the A2 ASE testing. I actually was supposed to make a video last Sunday about taking the A1 test, but I failed the test. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I failed it. So I didn't think I should make a video about it, but in hindsight, I should have made a video when stuff was fresh in my head so I could tell you guys what's really on there. Now it's a little bit blurry because I just took the A2 test today. That's kind of fresh, but don't let me get ahead of myself. Let me go back to the A1. What I found out on that test is that the wording is a little bit difficult. So I would recommend getting a study guide and reading through it because the wording is probably similar to that. I went and I took the test without a study guide. I did like some practice tests online and thought I was gonna do good. I did good on this practice test, but when it was time to do the real test, what was on this practice test wasn't really on the real test, you know. And if I could go back, I'm gonna get the booklet and just read through it because the wording was just something else, you know. My vocabulary isn't that expansive, so like it might just be me. You guys might know a little bit more than me, you know what I mean? And I have rebuilt some engines. I've redone piston, like stuff like that. It's just that the way they word stuff is kind of weird. And then also, like, they'd ask you a question like, what do you think is the cause of this? And they'd give you like 3-4 things, and like all 3-4 things could be the cause, I guess, you know, like. So you got to start thinking like, what could be the main cause? What's the most common cause? I guess that's the way you should think about it, because you start thinking, well, yeah, that could make that happen, or this could make that happen, you know, like, yeah, all this shit is possible, but just what could be the most common cause? I guess you could say. I don't know if you guys ever been on like Identifix, and like you guys look up a code or whatever, and it says common fixes, and it'll tell you what was the common problem, what's the common fix, stuff like that. Like all this is, but then you get a very weird one down here, you know, that's like, one person did this shit and it fixed it, which was like, you know, my blinker keeps blinking. I don't know how to make it stop it. I replaced the wheel bearing and it made it stop. Like that type of shit, like some weird shit like that, you know, like anything's possible. But I guess you gotta choose what's most common, you know. But that was the first test, the A1. I also noticed that they still talk about a lot of old techniques on how to do certain stuff. So the booklet will definitely help with that, because the booklet has more of those old techniques, you know. Nowadays, we just do a lot of replacing of parts. We don't really rebuild parts or do anything like that. So we probably won't get that type of experience at a shop nowadays. So it's just better to go through the booklet. You'll get more knowledge on what the old techniques used to be, you know. Which brings me to A2, the A2 test. A2 test was actually not that bad. I think what really killed me on the A2 test that I also failed, I'm just gonna tell you that right now, I also failed it. I gave myself a week to study. So like right after I took A1, the following week I took A2, and man, I did not have enough time to study. I did not have enough time to study, and I did it to myself again. I thought I could do it without having to study so hard. But I did read through the booklet. I did watch some videos on the transmissions. I work at AMCO as well. We do a lot of transmission, like diagnosing and troubleshooting and stuff like that. What we don't do is a lot of transmission rebuilding anymore. We don't really do that no more. Everything is just R&R, bam. You know, I wish we'd do some transmission rebuilding, because that shit seems pretty cool. But for the most part, it's just a lot of R&R. So me working at AMCO, I was like, oh man, I'll get this, you know, it's no problem. I deal with the shit every day. So going into the test, you know, I went understudied, and I also went a little bit confident. And then what killed me the most was the time on the test. I just ran out of time so fast, and like I was like on question number 40, and I had like 15 minutes left. So I had 20 more questions to answer. Plus I had skipped like 3 questions that were kind of hard, so I skipped those ones, plus the 20. So the last 15 minutes, I was just fucking rushing through it. What you doing, bro?
Put in this one.
You want to work on the car right now, or what?
When I'm done.
Get your ass way.
Top of your head's kind of
Was it cut off?
Just your hair. It looks like you got no hair.
Damn, that sucks.
It's fine. It's not that bad. There you go.
So yeah, I was rushing through it until I finally just finished those last 20 questions, and I still had to go back to the hard ones that I had skipped, and I ended up just guessing on them because I only had like a minute left. I didn't have time. I just guessed on them. But there's a lot of reading in the A2. There's a lot of math, and the math is kind of funky. Just so you guys know, the math is like, it's kind of funky. I didn't know whether you were supposed to add, subtract, divide, multiply. Like, I didn't know what you were supposed to do. I just know that you had to do some type of math. So I was trying out like every type of equation, trying to figure out this math, and I still didn't get it. So I'm gonna see if I can find some practice tests that have those type of math questions in them and just redo them and practice them out here before I go take that test again next month. All in all, I'm not too upset that I failed both of the tests. At least now I know what I have to practice on. I know what I have to try harder at and just memorize, I guess you could say. But there ain't no stopping me. I'm still gonna keep trying. I got my manual trans test next week. I got a booklet for it. I'm gonna just read through it. I'm gonna take practice tests. Right now, all I'm really doing is work, gym, study, work, gym, study, work, gym, study. But I also have other shit to do. You know, I gotta wash my clothes. I gotta make food to eat and stuff like that. So, I guess I need to manage my time a little bit better. I need to probably wake up earlier. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning right now because I'm a single father. I have to take my daughter to school. I have to pick her up from school. You know, like all this stuff. And she goes to work with me right after school. She goes to work with me. She waits for me for 2 hours. We drive back home. We do all this shit. You know, so like, it's a little bit time consuming. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. But that gives me even greater motivation to come out on top doing this. Like, if I could do it, any of you guys could do it. You know, because you guys can see my vocabulary is not expansive like what's on these tests, you know, and I'm an amateur. You know, I've only been doing this for like professionally, I've only been doing it for like 2 years. Before that, I worked at a warehouse for 10 years, you know, and I'm over here wrenching every day. Like if I knew what I was doing. For the most part, I do, but sometimes I even ask myself, like, how the fuck did I get into this, you know? I didn't go to school, I didn't do any of that, so I'm happy to be here. And every day I give thanks to God for letting me work on cars and doing what I love to do, and for him giving me the opportunity to keep following my dreams, you know, and my dream right now is to work for BMW, and it's one of my biggest dreams, one of my biggest goals, I guess you could say. It's not really like a dream, it's one of my biggest goals, is to work for BMW, be able to buy a house, have a nice place for my kid, you know, just me and her. We're making shit work. If I could do it, any of you guys could do it. That'll wrap it up for the Roddy Ricch Show today. I'll get you guys on the next one.